Good morning, USA, and welcome to another episode of the Bernie or Bust Show. Speaking of a douchebag petard, I wasn't. I guess Lee was. Let's hear what he has to say.
Moving on, I want to squeeze in here another douche petard, Pete Buttigieg. This video that I'm about to show you, it shows someone at a meet and greet line at a Pete Buttigieg event just the other day, and the person, I think a young person, basically asks the presidential candidate if getting big money out of politics includes not taking money from billionaires, which is a very valid question that at the very least deserves a thought-out, in-depth response, because money in politics is crushing, crushing our nation. So watch Mayor Pete's answer. No, not at all. Thanks a lot for your time, young man. Let's play that one more time. Look at how long it takes Pete Buttigieg to decide how he feels on this crucial issue. No. If you listen closely, you can hear Pete Buttigieg say, "Also go fuck yourself," afterwards. I'm kidding, but you know he wants to. You can see it in the eyes. Well, honestly, what he really wants to say there is, son, I am only even mildly competitive in this race because of giant money donors like billionaires and massive corporations giving millions of dollars to me because they want to make sure that Bernie Sanders does not get elected. I then use that money to cover your TVs and computers in ads that I hope will trick enough people into voting for me in Iowa. Bernie Sanders, and to a lesser degree Elizabeth Warren, are funded by
much lesser degree by humans, he was going to say. But let's talk about Iowa. It isn't about Mayor Pete getting to the finish line at the end of the race. Nobody expects Mayor Pete to get to Milwaukee and be in front. Nobody, not even Mayor Pete. Elizabeth Warren knows she's in the race to block Bernie, and Mayor Pete similarly. What they really don't want in Iowa is for Bernie to get a clear win in Iowa, in New Hampshire, in Nevada, and then they can't catch him. And then Joe probably wouldn't even last until the end of April. Who knows? But his point is clear. The reason Pete is in the race is to block Bernie. The reason, it's less clear to most people than it is to me, but the reason Elizabeth is in the race is to block Bernie. Onward.
human beings. Millions of tiny donations from real Americans. Not I. They're funded by actual average Americans, not billionaires and corporate entities. So I need to rig these fucking primaries as best I can to even have a mouse's fart of a chance. Thanks for asking. I mean, he didn't say that, but he said it. He said it. You could see. Money in politics is one of the most important issues we're facing. And yet many of the presidential candidates are yet again trying to simply buy the presidency. It's disgusting. And Pete Buttigieg is clearly fine with it. Let's move now to the worst, most...
He's clearly fine with it, which is why the internet has come to loathe him. How the internet came to loathe Pete Buttigieg. By Charles Homans. Last month, after polls showed Pete Buttigieg vaulting unexpectedly to the lead in Iowa's Democratic caucus, he aired an ad introducing his plan for higher education reform, a proposal to make public college tuition free for households earning up to $100,000 a year and reduce it on a sliding scale for those making up to $150,000. Some voices, he says in the ad, some voices, I wonder who those are, want to make college free, even for the kids of millionaires. A swipe at his rivals to the left, who had each called for free college for all. Although Elizabeth's version is not as free as Bernie's version. The following week, a video circulated in which the NBC reporter Priscilla Thompson questioned Buttigieg on his position. "I just think rich people ought to be able to pay their own tuition," he said, before adding that college is not for everybody. "Everyone who wants to attend college should be able to afford it," he went on. "But where I come from..." Where is that, Pete? "But where I come from, 3 out of 4 people don't have a college degree." Oh, they love you there, don't they, Pete? "And if the message we're sending to them is that you need a college degree in order to get by in life, in order to prosper, in order to succeed, we're leaving most Americans out." I'm not going to play that clip. I can't watch him talk for more than a few minutes at a time. Buttigieg, like Barack Obama before him, speaks in orderly paragraphs that seem to exist primarily to advertise a calm, deliberate temperament. But as his campaign has become an unexpected obstacle to the left's favored candidates, these deliberate paragraphs have become reliable rage objects. Excoriating Buttigieg's comments, a Vice headline cried that Buttigieg's version of America is basically a caste system. Days later, addressing students at Grinnell College, Buttigieg was assailed for his higher education plan and accused of spreading lies. Activists unfurled banners reading, "Wall Street Pete," and "Youth to Pete, you will kill us." "You will kill us," Buttigieg said. "That's really mean." The front runner of the month always gets kicked around, but what has been interesting about the criticism Buttigieg faces is the way it always seems to be about the totality of Mayor Pete in all his best and brightestness. How in the absence of much of a record to scrutinize, he has been cast as a human indictment of the system that would deliver a precocious mayor without much of a record to the top tier of a presidential primary. "College was always for a kid like Peter," the political commentator Crystal Ball said. "He and the other special flowers who get tracked onto the smart kid path, which so often just happens to coincide with being white and being affluent." But that would describe many of Buttigieg's critics too. The Buttigieg backlash, just like this spring's first flush of Buttigieg mania, has a dorm room atmosphere about it. It is most intense within its own cohort of young, mostly white, college-educated liberals who are torn between a mounting discomfort with their own privilege and an instinctive comfort with their own class. Buttigieg is his demographic's most natural avatar in the 2020 race, and that is precisely his problem. Buttigieg has occasionally reached for Obama's mantle, but what he more readily calls to mind is a type of young person who flooded eagerly into politics in the early Obama years. The emotive, irony-deficient millennial shaped by generational traumas, the financial crisis, Iraq, and Afghanistan, but not embittered or radicalized by them. Excited by abstractions like hope and change, to see Buttigieg on the stump evoking the spirit of that moment is to realize with a shock just how far away it feels now. In the intervening decade, his demographic has undergone a pair of profound shifts. One is the emergence of a vigorous left-wing policy vision informed by the perceived failures of the Obama presidency, its misplaced trust in compromise, its deference to Wall Street, its faith in the system. The other is a radical leap in how the same cohort thinks about race, social justice, and immigration. This new left didn't rise up in opposition to the old Obama base, it evolved out of it, and this has placed it in direct conflict with Mayor Pete, one of their own who seems not to have evolved much at all. He is weirder in this respect than a candidate like Joe Biden, who is very clearly a man of another era. Buttigieg, by contrast, often seems as if he fell into a crevasse on his way to vote in the 2010 midterms and climbed out recently to find that his old friends had forgotten Panic at the Disco and discovered socialism. He is doing all the right stuff for 10 years ago, but it's all wrong now. His college plan is more ambitious than Biden's or anything Obama advocated, but those gradations don't matter anymore. Either you want to root out every last driver of inequality, or you are, as Teen Vogue called him, Petey bourgeois. Having worked for McKinsey is a Kissinger-grade war crime, as opposed to something all Harvard kids seem to do after graduating. When Buttigieg says that sometimes feeling like a stranger in my own country as a gay man might give him insight into the experience of Black Americans, he really said that. One gay rights advocate is quick to clarify that this is not an attempt to appropriate someone else's experience. Woo, Nelly! What unites Buttigieg's heresies is how recently they would not have been heresies. Even 5 years ago, they would have been, for better or worse, unremarkable, and it's possible they still are. The gravitational center of the rage against Buttigieg has been very online, as has the maximalism of its tone, its insistence that Buttigieg, by thriving within the American architecture of capitalism and privilege, must personally embody all its worst qualities. On left Twitter, it is axiomatic that Buttigieg is not merely a relentlessly ambitious striver, but an actual sociopath. But offline, in Iowa and New Hampshire, he is gaining in the polls at the expense of an online left favorite, Warren. He has been confronted with legitimate questions about his mayoral record on race and policing and has struggled with Black voters. But so far, these voters aren't backing a candidate with a stronger record on racial justice. They are, by a vast margin, supporting Biden. Iowa, on the other hand, is pretty much all white. The same internet ecosystem that has accelerated the shifts within Buttigieg's own demographic can also distort the extent of those changes' impact. A survey conducted this year by the Hidden Tribes Project found that Democrats who were politically active on social media were far more likely to be white, college-educated, and leftward moving than Democrats who weren't. The intensity of the Buttigieg backlash feels like a response to the vast gulf that lies between the internet and the Iowa caucuses. It is a disorienting moment, one in which Democratic politics seem at once to have changed completely and to have not changed at all. Now that is interesting. The woke left on Twitter is definitely not having Buttigieg. And a lot of them also are not having Elizabeth, which is good. We've got to figure out some strategy. Leave it in the comment section below, please, if you think of one. How to help the older white Iowans also loathe Pete Buttigieg. Because make no mistake, he's in it to keep Bernie out. He's in it purely to block Bernie. And young people like Bernie. Maybe that's the answer. Young people will loathe Pete and then somehow get the word to the people in Iowa. If old people would just listen to young people, everything would work out a lot better. In the meantime, keep burning on that. Put it in your pipe and smoke it and brainstorm. We've got to figure this out quickly. It's almost the end of 2019 and Iowa is coming soon. So keep on burning and hope to see you tomorrow.
Get on board the Bernier bus train. Come get on board the Bernier bus train. Once you hear that clickety-clack, there ain't no time for turning back. Go get on board the Bernier bus